99 cents. That number meant something different in the 1970s. It was not a discount. It was not a special. For a lot of families across America, 99 cents was the difference between a hot meal on the table and going without, and there were entire menus, entire restaurant chains, and entire kitchens at home built around stretching that single dollar bill as far as it could possibly go. The 1970s were not an easy decade for the American family budget. Gas prices climbed, grocery prices climbed, paychecks did not climb nearly as fast. And in that gap, families found ways to eat, cook, and survive on meals that cost less than a single dollar. Meals that today would seem almost impossible, but back then were simply Tuesday night. Today we are counting down 10 dinners that cost about 99 cents in the 1970s. Dinners that fed entire families. Dinners that saved households from going hungry, and dinners that most people under 50 have never had to think about because they never had to. Number 1, Hamburger Helper, straight out of the box. Introduced in 1971, Hamburger Helper arrived at the exact moment American families needed it most. One box, 1 pound of ground beef, and a single skillet turned into a full dinner that could feed a family of 4 or 5 for well under $1 per plate. The box did the thinking for you. The sauce packet did the seasoning for you. All a tired parent had to do was brown the meat, add water, stir, and wait. For millions of households, this was not a convenience. It was survival, and it became one of the most reliable dinners of the entire decade. Number 2, beans and franks. A can of pork and beans, a package of hot dogs sliced into coins, mixed together in one pot, and simmered until the whole kitchen smelled like brown sugar and smoke. This dinner cost pennies per serving, required almost no skill, and filled a family up completely. It showed up on tables from coast to coast, served over white bread or alongside a slice of cornbread if there was any in the house. Nobody remembers beans and franks as a fancy meal, but almost everyone who grew up in that decade remembers exactly what it tasted like. Number 3, tuna noodle casserole. A can of tuna, a box of egg noodles, a can of cream of mushroom soup, and whatever crushed crackers or potato chips happened to be in the pantry for the topping. This dinner became one of the single most affordable ways to feed a family in the 1970s because every ingredient could sit unrefrigerated on a shelf for months, waiting for the night a family needed it. It was not glamorous. It did not need to be. It needed to be cheap, it needed to be filling, and it needed to stretch across 5 plates without anyone noticing how little it actually cost. Number 4, spaghetti with plain tomato sauce. No meat, no meatballs, just noodles, a can of tomato sauce, a little sugar to cut the acidity, and maybe a sprinkle of Parmesan from a green can if the budget allowed it that week. This dinner became a weekly staple in households across the country because a single box of spaghetti could be stretched into 2, sometimes 3 separate meals. Families who could not afford meat every night still managed to put a hot, filling dinner on the table. And for a lot of children who grew up in that decade, this simple bowl of noodles is one of their clearest food memories. Number 5, egg salad sandwiches. A dozen eggs cost far less than a dozen anything else in the 1970s, and a batch of egg salad, made with mayonnaise, a little mustard, and salt, could turn into dinner for an entire family for well under $1 total. Served on white bread, sometimes toasted, sometimes not, this dinner was quick enough for a working mother to make after a long shift and cheap enough to make even when payday was still days away. Number 6, chili with crackers. A pound of ground beef, a can of kidney beans, a can of tomatoes, and a packet of chili seasoning turned into a pot that could feed a family for 2 nights in a row. served with saltine crackers crushed on top instead of cornbread, which cost extra to make from scratch. This dinner became one of the most dependable meals of the decade, especially in colder months when a hot bowl of something spicy felt like more than just food. It felt like comfort during a decade that did not offer families very much of it. Number 7. Grilled cheese and canned tomato soup. A loaf of white bread, a block of American cheese, and a can of Campbell's tomato soup added up to one of the cheapest, most reliable dinners any family could make. Butter in the pan, cheese between two slices, fried until golden, dipped straight into a bowl of soup that cost less than a quarter per serving, once diluted with milk or water. This dinner did not require planning, did not require a grocery list, and could be made from whatever happened to already be sitting in the kitchen on a bad week. Number 8. Sloppy Joes on discount buns. Ground beef, ketchup, a little brown sugar, a little mustard, simmered down into a thick, sweet, tangy filling piled onto the cheapest hamburger buns available that week. Families who could not afford a proper roast or a full dinner of separate dishes could still put something warm and satisfying on the table for well under $1 a plate. And the mess of eating a sloppy Joe became, for a lot of children, one of the more joyful memories of an otherwise difficult financial decade. Number 9. Rice and gravy. In households where meat simply was not in the budget that week, rice cooked plain and covered in a gravy made from bouillon cubes, flour, and water became dinner. It sounds impossibly simple, and it was. But it was filling, it was hot, and it cost almost nothing to make, sometimes as little as a few cents per serving. For families going through the hardest stretches of the decade, this was not a side dish. It was the entire meal. And it kept more than one household fed through a month that otherwise would have come up short. Number 10. Cream chipped beef on toast, known by a much less polite nickname among the men who first ate it in the military. This dinner combined dried beef in a white cream sauce, poured generously over toasted white bread. The dried beef came in a small jar and cost very little, and a single jar could stretch across an entire family dinner when mixed into a large pot of homemade cream sauce. It became a regular weeknight meal in households across the country, especially for families who had a parent who had served and brought the recipe home with them. 10 dinners, all of them under $1. All of them built not around flavor for its own sake, but around necessity, around stretching a paycheck just far enough to get a family from one week to the next. These meals were never meant to be remembered as recipes. They were meant to be remembered as survival, as the quiet resourcefulness of parents who found a way to put something warm on the table, no matter how tight the budget got that particular week. If any of these dinners showed up on your table growing up, we want to hear about it. Tell us in the comments which one your family made the most,